I want to leave you with this. I talk about this in my philosophy a lot. Pursuing excellence on a daily basis is not trying to worry about the people around you. It's just focused on being a better version of yourself from the day before. So if you aren't working out and you start working out once a week, that's better than you were before. If you wasn't food prepping at all and you doing it a little bit, there's improvement. So wherever you are in this journey, man, like just move forward. Keep trying to progress yourself and you'll get to a point where it gets better. So you're not going to be able to get it all in one day. Don't think you can. It takes time. It takes energy. Celebrate the small victories, celebrate the wins, and become a better version of yourself, bro. That's what we're here to do at Leadership State of Mind. Please continue to like, share, follow, tell your friends, family, come out there and support us.
You can be a leader, but a leader is a developed set of skills. It's a developed set. State of mind, state of mind, state of mind, state of mind, state of mind.
Good people, we are back at Leadership State of Mind with another podcast, and I am having a great day. I'm here with my man Armon. How we doing today, bro?
Hey man, I am doing lovely. My Atlanta Falcons are like winning now. I don't know what's happening right now, but they are winning. Got the Yankees, of course. Even though my Braves is gone, I'm also a Yankee fan, right? So. And we just made it to the ALCS. So, man, it's a lovely day. And then it's no longer hot in Japan. It's no longer hot. It's delightful out here. It's delightful.
You got some fall weather?
Dude, because you see I'm in a hoodie. I had to represent all the way live, with the Yankees.
I see that.
But it's nice. It's nice. It's nice. I love it.
I'm not gonna lie to you. Yeah, I'm enjoying just not seeing fall. Like, I'm gonna get plenty of falls and winters. I'm like enjoying the fact that I'm still in shorts. It is it's a vibe out here, man. So I'm feeling great. Yeah, man, it's a great time of year. Daylight savings is about to happen. So currently right now my Sunday routine is a little bit rough. I gotta set an alarm clock to make sure I can catch the 7:00 games. But once it switches to 8:00, I'm good. I'm not sleeping past that. Yeah, 2 a.m.
2 a.m.
Yeah, so
that first game.
So
2 a.m.
I'm about to be real good. I got baseball playoffs, basketball's about to start, and football is starting at 8 on a Sunday. That's a beautiful thing. So, huge sports fans. I'm loving that.
I mean, but at least you're excited about your basketball team.
I am
not.
Yeah, I mean, I'm excited about the Knicks. I don't want to. We was talking about it before we started the podcast. I like the lineup. I really think Cat's gonna spread the floor with Brunson and Bridges. I just think it's gonna be a problem.
I don't know,
I'm
man.
excited.
I just don't believe in Cat.
I don't know about Atlanta, bro.
I don't believe in Cat, but I know there's excitement in New York. I don't believe in that dude, not one bit. But Atlanta.
Yeah, I really think so. Here's the deal. No one believed in Randall in the playoffs. Cat Williams doesn't need to be the guy. Let Brunson be the guy. But I think he spreads the floor better than Randall. And with him and OG and Bridges, I don't think he's got to be the number one guy. And I just think he's going to play better with him. Yeah. We'll see, though. Who knows? Only time will tell. But, yeah, I'm excited about it. So, playoffs is good. And then I took you around the house with my phone yesterday. We're in full Halloween mode. Out here prepping for the big Halloween party at the house. Every day we doing something new. So that's been fun. But we busy, man. We busy. Sports good. Kids are healthy. Wife's doing good. So yeah, man, lot to be thankful for.
No doubt. Man, I was really appreciative, man, of the reception that we got from the last podcast, man. We talking about family and talking about those dynamics, man. A lot of good feedback on a personal level. People talking about, hey, they appreciate us talking about that.
Yeah, man, I think, I had some separate, messenger things about that. And, a couple people asking if everything's good with the fam and, just explain it to them like, hey, man, like nothing's perfect. Like,
Exactly.
and I think being vulnerable and kind of, letting people into our world a little bit is what this podcast is all about. Like
Facts.
we ain't never said we was perfect, and we certainly don't sit in a glass house and try to throw rocks. So yeah, man, I agree, dude. It was dope, the reception and some of the feedback from that. So I appreciate everyone that listened in and got something out of that. So yeah, man, it was dope. It
No
was
doubt.
cool. And then I think after this podcast, the next one is in person, right? We're about to
It's
be in
in
the same
person.
spot, maybe.
It's in person.
Try to make that. Yeah, yeah. So I'm excited about that one. Energy levels always higher when we in the same room.
Always. Always.
Yeah, man. So you want to kick it off?
Man, listen. Can I kick it? Yes, you can. It was all
Yes, you
good.
can.
It was all good just a week ago. Just a week ago.
Damn.
When we thought we had it all figured out. Because just like we always tell you, and we are just telling you our experiences. We are not trying to project perfection on this podcast. That 50 years combined worth of leadership experience. But listen, we be messing this thing up too. And if we're not challenging ourselves inwardly to get better every single day and learning from our lessons, learning from the things that we mess up, then we messing up and we are doing you a disservice. So I'm going to tell you, for me, what I learned for myself last week or a week ago is that I can't outpace my team. Leaders,
Mm-hmm.
listen to me. Do not outpace your team. And what I mean by that is that you may have just gone to a conference surrounded by a bunch of like-minded people, got infused with a bunch of ideas. You may have just read a phenomenal book that have given you just some unique insights into how to direct your team, how to improve the culture and all these things. And you want to throw all this stuff on the board and like, this is what we're doing. We're going to be going here. We're going to do this. And your team is just like, what? Be mindful. Be careful. Slow down. Consider the audience. Just because you got a chance to take some time to go read this nice book, go to this nice conference, or sit down with this person, your team's still been working. They still been grinding. They still been making it happen. So be easy on how you present that information. Be careful that you're not outpacing your team with your grandiose ideas because you've gone to the top of the hill and been enlightened, right? So be careful. Do not outpace your team. Baby steps. It's all about the process. Build it into the process. Does this work? Read your room. Can they handle an influx of information that may change the course or trajectory of what they've been doing so drastically that change management that happens in the implementation backfires on you. So be careful on how you implement those changes. Still be excited about what you learned, but the implementation of it, just be careful and prudent on how you deliver that to your teams.
Man, I love that. Sometimes I think we take for granted sometimes the opportunities we have to be in some of the rooms that we're in and have the discussions that we're having, because it's truly cool to see a bunch of like-minded people that, bring the same level of energy as you. So that's some really good perspective. I also think like you don't want to lose your team in the process, right? Like you don't want to come back with all these ideas and then overwhelm them. And because I think that's where you lose, your ability to be grounded and they're like, does this guy even know what's going on here? You know what I mean? Like you're kind of like you're off the deck plate. You're like, you've kind of lost your focus, and these guys are out here grinding, doing all this stuff. And now you're talking about some philosophical big brain ideas. So what I always like to do when I get back from one of those things, or I got some really big ideas, I just tell them, hey, had a phenomenal week. Got a lot of good stuff, too much to roll out at once. But, we're going to get into it. And that usually works, man. But that's some great feedback, dude. It's definitely a good perspective to have. For me, is not a personal, not personally something that I did, but something that I certainly saw. And I had to have some uncomfortable conversations this week, man. And my feedback to y'all this week, if you are constantly mad at your whole team, And if you are constantly saying everyone is letting you down, you might want to look in the mirror and is it possible that maybe you're not setting the right expectations and telling people what you want? You know, if you have a good team, like no one, like we've said this a million times, no one wakes up and says, "Oh man, I just want to suck today. If I could just be bad and not do my job, it would be great." Like no one thinks that. And you know, when you're at a staff like I have the pleasure to work with, no one's not trying to do their job. People are proud and want to do a good job. And so if you're constantly upset and you constantly feeling a certain type of way, you know, you really need to look in the mirror, recenter, and think to myself, like, am I telling people what I want? Am I being clear and concise? Am I setting expectations? Because you might not be wrong with what you want, and you might have some really good ideas to make things better. But if you're not communicating it, all you're doing is upsetting people in the process and then getting yourself mad for no reason. So, you know, just take a step back. If you're mad and you think everyone's letting you down, is it possible that it could be you? And if that's the case, I think you can learn from that, recenter, and then come up with a new strategy to communicate to your team.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It reminds me of a proverb that I heard one time, and I'm 100% going to say it wrong, but I think you'll be able to get the gist of it. There was, if you take a finger and you're touching every part of your body and it hurts, it may just be the finger, right? I know I said that wrong, but like, I think y'all feel where I'm trying to go with this one, right?
No,
but
I certainly got the gist of it.
Yep. So absolutely. It
man,
it has to start with us. It got to start with us. We got to put that mirror up, and it has to start with us. Like we got to look at ourselves and be like, wait a minute, am I communicating effectively? Am I outpacing my team? Did I deliver it in a way where did I transmit on every frequency? Right. So absolutely, man.
Yeah, man. So shifting to the next segment, man, the blueprint. What do we read right now? What book we reading?
Yeah, so I'm reading. So I read this probably 5 years ago, but it's called The Secrets of Dynamic Communication by this guy named Ken Baker. So I came across it because looking for speaking opportunities in the past and trying to figure out how to get better at public speaking. It's something that I love doing. It's something that I gravitate towards doing, but it was something that I wanted to make sure that I refined because it's easy to give a dynamic speech, I think. You got personality, you throw a couple of jokes in there, and people are like, oh man, that was good. But is the purpose of giving that presentation just for people to say it's good, or do you actually want them to take something home with them? Do you want it to resonate in a legitimate way?
Be able to remember what you were saying.
Exactly. And this book was consistently called out by speakers I respect that said, hey, this is something I started with, that I trained with this guy that helped me structure my speeches, structure my presentations in a way that they were memorable, that people were taking something actively away from it. So he has this framework called SCORE that really helps you kind of, hey, I know what I want to talk about, but it helps you refine it and get it down to the cellular level where it's singularly focused and not all over the place. It's not scattered. It's laser-like, and it hits people where they need it, and it's memorable. And it's a dynamic book, man. I love it. It's super easy to read, super easy uptake. But if you've ever wanted to give a presentation in any way, shape, or form, it turns out as leaders, you're always giving presentations in some way, shape, or form. This will help immensely. It will help immensely. You know what you want to talk about, refine that process, how to deliver it, how to deliver the points. It's perfect. It's one of the best presentation, speech, public speaking type of books that I've ever read.
How long is that book?
It's like
how long does it take?
212 pages.
So pretty quick.
Pages. Yeah, it's pretty quick.
Yeah, because I'm getting ready to do that ROTC presentation in a couple weeks. I might check that out. That'd be cool. Okay. All right. Cool, man.
What about you? What you read?
Yeah, man. I got an oldie, man. I'm reading The Art of War. I've never read it before.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yeah, I've never read it. And so like it's been on my list and I was like, man, I said I got to pull the trigger on this. I mean, and so I mean, obviously there's been so many copies sold. There's a lot of cool concepts in it. I'm about a third of the way through, but I don't know, I just felt like everything I'm doing right now and where I'm at in the world, like it felt relevant to me. So
Yeah.
it's different, but it's dope, man. If you haven't read it or heard about it, I'm probably gonna mess his name up. San
Sun Tzu.
TZU. I don't know how to say it.
Yeah. Sun Tzu.
Sun Tzu. There you go.
Yeah.
So the T is silent. Sun Tzu.
Silent. Yeah.
So yeah, man. I started reading that. I finished up those marriage books that I was talking about. The 2 books in the previous podcast. So those got finished, and I just shifted to Art of War. So yeah, man. Reading that, and as always, I'm sorry. You got any feedback or any statements about that book? I know you've read it.
Yeah. So I'm really interested in hearing your perspective on it and the parallels for modern day leadership that you can extract from that book, because it's pretty relevant. It's really relevant. So like we may be able to have like a whole conversation podcast just on that one. So
Okay. Yeah. Well, I mean, when I'm done with it for sure, maybe we could sit back and look at it, or certainly talk about it in the next podcast because it's pretty interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, as always, when I'm reading my bars, I always like to reference the book and something that I pulled from the book. And so what I got from Art of War was this concept. He said, engage people with what they expect. It is what they are able to discern and confirms their projections. It settles them into predictable patterns of response, occupying their minds while you wait for the extraordinary moment, that which they cannot anticipate. And so I read that, and then I reread it. Yeah. I mean, I read it like 4 times. I was like, man, this seems like an Armon like type thing. This is kind of a lot. But I like the concept, right? Because it talks about like, engaging your people and kind of just the predictable patterns and it kind of like flipped the way I was thinking about it, because the opposite of that is training your teams to not be predictable and learning new techniques and new things to keep people guessing. And so, yeah, man, I don't know. I just heard it and I was like, man, that speaks a lot to, just kind of the mindset you need to be in this war dynamic. So I thought it was pretty dope.
Yeah, man, I will tell you. So I heard it a little bit different. That last part though, what was that? Can you read that again?
Yeah. Yeah, it says it settles them into predictable patterns of response, occupying their minds while you wait for the extraordinary moment, that which they cannot anticipate.
That part, while you wait for the extraordinary moment that they cannot anticipate. So I think about that as like, lulling your enemy to sleep kind of deal. Like, show your enemy the same pattern that they may have been studying tape on you. They've been anticipating, they've been waiting for it, and then you hit them with something completely different, and you mess them up because they think that you're gonna go into that same pattern. That's what I heard that last part. I was like, woo, man.
Yeah.
But yeah,
for sure,
that's what's up. That's a good one.
Yeah, so I heard that. I was like, oh, this. I said this book's about to have some things in it, because I and it might take because it's not a long read, right? But you just hear things and you reread them and kind of look at them a couple of times. So that kind of stuck out to me a little bit.
No doubt.
What about you, man? What bars you got this week?
Yeah, so this one isn't from the book, but it's one that I heard over the course of the couple of weeks, and it resonated, with me. And you're going to absolutely love this one. So I've been anticipating this because I know your response to this is going to be dynamic.
All right, I'm excited.
Mediocrity is always invisible until passion shows up and exposes it.
I mean, I love it. I don't know who said that. Get him on the podcast. I want to know.
I don't know. I don't know who said it.
I want to know. I want to know what organization he walked into. I want to know who he said that to, because someone's feelings were hurt that day. they still haven't recovered. That's
Yeah.
I mean, it's not deep. It's very in your face.
Yes.
But you know, I mean,
Yes.
I say it all the time, right? Like mediocrity is your biggest enemy. You know, like that whole concept. You know, I think to become great, you have to remove good, right? Good is like
Yes.
that mediocrity. Like, oh, it's pretty good. We're okay. You know, man, I love it. You knew I was gonna love that. You're right.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I was like, oh,
Yeah.
this one. As soon as I heard it, I was like, ooh, ooh, this is very leadership state of mind-ish. Oh,
It is.
yeah.
It is. I just wish I could have been there for the audience's response. I wanted to see the anger and the sad faces because he hurt somebody with that. He really did.
Oh yeah.
Or she.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
For
So
sure.
that was,
Oh man, I love it.
mediocrity is always invisible until passion shows up and exposes it. And man, God, it hit me. I was like, man, this is just so many stories because the amount of times that I've been called passionate as a curse word, man.
Sure.
Nah, buddy, you just mediocre.
Oh man.
Yeah, man. So, but yeah, next segment. What are your tips for the people, man? 99 problems, but leadership ain't one. What you got for the people, Tony?
You know, I said it. I was feeling this morning. I had to put a reel out this morning on Instagram at Leadership State of Mind. But stay humble and stay hungry.
Yeah,
man. Like you get to these leadership positions, and you got to stay hungry. You still have to be a fountain of wisdom. You still have to have a desire and a passion to stay in the books, to stay relevant, to push yourself to learn more, to listen to podcasts, to read books. So you got to be hungry, have that desire to want to continue to grow and get better. The moment you think you arrived and you made it is when you start becoming stagnant. If you haven't read Armon's book, read it. He got a whole chapter on it. But stagnant is where death comes and trees die, and so we got to stay hungry and we got to, strive to continue to get better, continue to grow, and then be humble, man. You know, you might have a lot of good days. A lot of people might think very highly of you, pat you on the back. But at the end of the day, we still make mistakes. We're not perfect. We're here to serve and to make people better, not to make people think that we're better than them. So stay humble, stay hungry. And when you do that, I think you really create the right culture and the right climate where people want to follow you.
Yeah, that's good, bro. Absolutely, man. Because I just think about what allows me to do that is just the reflection. Because I think about the
Sure.
the 1999 version of Armon. Been on my boat for a little bit, and not really having leaders that were advocates for me, not really having leaders that even wanted to lead me. And I remember that dude. I remember how that dude felt. If I don't consistently go back there and think about that, it's very easy to get lulled into a sense of comfort and forget why I'm doing this. Because there's a bunch of Armons, a bunch of Tonys, that's joining this organization, that need people to advocate for them, that need people to be a champion for them, that need people that's willing to jump on people's desks for them. So yeah, man.
Yep.
Absolutely.
What you got? What's your tip of the week, tip of the day?
Yeah, man. So this one is directly out of having multiple conversations with future cops / CMCs and all exhibiting the exact same thing. Perfection is not achievable. Give yourself the space to grow. Give yourself grace and give the people that you lead grace. We all have a very clear picture in our head, or we should have a clear picture in our head of how we see our organization, how we see our team, how we see our microclimate if we're leading within an organization. But don't tear your people up if they're not meeting that expectation that you've constructed in your mind. Because that's built on perfection. That's built on, hey, this is everything going perfectly. This is how I want it. Sometimes what you want may not be the best in terms of performance or in terms of outcomes. So you got to give your people grace. You got to give yourself grace and the space, to grow and to receive that feedback that that is usable when you get out of your own way of trying to project perfection. perfection isn't, that's not attainable, right? Excellence absolutely is. Be non-negotiable on the excellence portion, but let that perfection and that need to be perfect, let it go. Let it go. Because you're hindering yourself and you're putting a lid on the leadership growth and opportunities for your people when you do that.
Yeah, man, I love that. So when I hear you talking, I always go back to the expectations piece. And so
Yeah.
when I give my speech and when I first meet the people that I'm going to serve and lead, I always pull up the Vince Lombardi quote where he talks about we will chase perfection and we will chase it relentlessly, knowing we cannot achieve it, but through chasing perfection, we will find greatness. And then at the end, he talks about I'm not remotely considered or concerned about being good, right? And so even in that quote, even though the concept is perfection, he acknowledges that it's not possible. And so talk to your team about like, hey man, I want y'all to strive for that. Because if that's if your goal is like mediocrity or good, then if you fall below it, where are we at? You know?
Yeah.
But if your goal is to chase perfection, knowing full well that it's not possible, we're going to find greatness in the process. And so for leaders, tell them that that's your mark. That's where you want to go. And that's what you believe in. But you also have the grace to be like, I understand that we're not perfect and we're not going to get there every day. And so I just think it goes back to the expectations piece. But when I heard that, I immediately thought of that Vince Lombardi quote, because I like to say that to people so they understand what my expectations are as far as like what we should be striving for every day, but admitting that like we're not always going to hit the mark, and that's okay.
Absolutely. That's great, man. That's great. Man. But let's get into the content, man. So I'm reminded of a situation that when I was a cop on board the USS Helena, it was a long day, and leaving, I'm gathering my stuff. I had a conversation with the wife. It's like, hey, I'll be home at 20. Talking about getting the kids down, getting something to eat. Obviously acknowledging it was a long day, trying day, a lot of energy output. And I'm gathering my stuff, got my bag, get my stuff, about to get ready to go up the ladder to go to the car. And I get, hey Cobb, you got a minute? Absolutely, should make what you need.
Of course what I do. Need.
It's 2022. I showed up. I showed up to work with the sun not being up, and I'm leaving with the sun not being up. But I absolutely got time for you. What do you need? What's going on? It's those moments. It's those moments that generated the purpose of this discussion today when we talk about energy management. Because every morning we wake up, we have a finite level of energy at our disposal. Not energy to live, but the energy required to present to the world a person that we want to be and that other people want to meet and be led by. If we're not managing that energy in a tangible, intentional, real way, that interaction could have gone haywire. I could have given him a look like, come on, man, it's really? Oh, we can't do this tomorrow? Like, don't you see, like, it's, come on. If I'm not properly managed, if I wasn't managing my energy in a really intentional way at that point, because I would absolutely be running on fumes and no one would blame me. It's like, man, Cobb's going 100% all day, Yep, absolutely tired. I'll be justified in saying, hey, man, let's do this in the morning. But we never know. Never know what our sailors, our teammates are going through. We never know what that moment is. And the amount of courage that it takes, because he could see that the sun was down. He knew that it was late, but something was overwhelmed that acknowledgement and said, I need to talk to the leader. I need to talk to the cop right now because this is important. And it was important. Regardless of what it was important because it was important to him to grab me. but we have to have the energy reserves necessary to manage that so that we're ready for those moments. And that's the purpose, of our conversation today, talking about energy management for effective leadership.
First of all, I just want to thank you that you took the time to talk to that young man. I tell people all the day, I tell people every day, yo, man, like some serious, man, every day is an opportunity to change the way people think about leadership. When that person might have been looking for an opportunity to talk to you for 2 days, 3 days, a week, might have finally built up the, courage to come talk to you. And he's been waiting for no one to be around because he's insecure about something. Like, who knows what they're going through? And like, man, you can change the way they think about leadership in 1 second. They can either be like, man, these people care, or they don't care about me. So I appreciate you doing that. Hopefully that sailor appreciates that. But my question for you is, you talking about this energy, where are we getting this energy from? Like, you want me to just from sleeping, or what? Well, what we getting into?
Part of it. That's a huge part of it. Making sure starting, because I think that's a starting point. Making sure that you get adequate rest, right? Because that recharging, building that battery back up, I would probably venture to say probably the most important thing, because especially as you get older, you cannot out supplement a bad night of sleep. Trust me, I've tried. You can't out coffee, you can't out caffeine, you can't out L-theanine, you can't out Red Bull, you can't out Monster. Bad night of sleep. Bad night of sleep. I mean, your energy battery, right, is starting off halfway. All right, I said this one time where I believe people, should have like energy bars, like like the video game. They should have energy bars on their forehead.
On top of their head.
Yeah, just so like when to approach them, because you see somebody in the red, like, oh, I'm gonna leave them alone.
I'm gonna give them some space. Not today.
Not today. No, we're gonna hold out, because the emotional regulation that they have the ability to have when you on your reserves, that's zero. It's zero. It's zero.
Yeah. I like that. Yeah, man, I think that's important. And I think one of the things that is going to be reiterated multiple times when we talk about this is the consistency, right? Like, you got to put your ass to bed, man. Like, you got to know what time you got to wake up and how many hours of sleep, and it's different for everyone. I'll tell you, if I'm in this 6.5 hour window, I'm pretty solid. I don't really need much more than that. I'm waking up after about that. But if you need 8 hours, man, you better, if this is a math equation, if you know what time you got to wake up, you need 8. Yeah, I respect it. I got it. Well, you a little bit older, man. Maybe I'll need more sleep in the coming years.
I just gonna say it.
So yeah, but if it's a math equation, if you know you got to wake up at 5:30 and you know you need 8 hours, man, like get to sleep, get into bed. And there's lots of things. I think Mel Robbins, her 5-second rule.
Yeah.
I think she does a really good job of walking through circadian rhythm and things that you can do to get yourself to go to sleep and wake up in the morning. If you haven't seen the Mel Robinson or read the book, she's great. I mean, she got a podcast. She got a lot of good stuff she's doing. Shout out Mel Robbins. Hopefully you checking out our podcast. I appreciate what you putting out. But yeah, she does a great job talking about that. And, just not having her cell phone next to her bed and not having to be the first thing she does in the morning. And, so lots of stuff for energy. But I think it starts with the good night's sleep and knowing yourself as far as how many hours you need to get.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And then upon waking up, I know for me, getting up in the morning is typical, typical coffee. But it's not the typical coffee. I used to start with, my coffee journey has come a long way.
I
started off.
I was there for the 01 coffee journey. We can talk about what that used to be.
You remember that, bro?
All right, I'm gonna see if I'm wrong, but here's what it was. It was a really big cup. He would make me fill it up with coffee, but then and then a bunch of sugar, a lot. I don't remember how long. 10-second count, something crazy. But then he would have me add a packet of hot chocolate to it, and then some creamer or milk. I can't remember which one.
If it was creamer available. If it was creamer available.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's what it was in '01. That was the '01 version. I don't know how healthy that is. Let's stay away from that. If you're doing that right now, you should pivot from that. But what are we doing now? Oh,
none of that.
As you can hear, Ty in the background is co-signing on that. It was absolutely disgusting.
He's married now.
It's absolutely disgusting, right? And it was disgusting then, but like I wouldn't go to sleep. Like that was the thing. Like I wouldn't go to sleep, so I had to.
yeah.
Like I would try to stay up and qualify and qualify all these watches and do all this stuff. So I'm like, yo, this will give me that energy I need. Try not to fall asleep driving the boat. But my journey has come a long way now because now it is very little sugar, MCT oil, close to the bulletproof coffee, intermittent fasting, type of coffee, and that the level of energy that I get from very minimal sugar, not a lot of cream, MCT oil. Sometimes I put the ghee butter in there to finish the drill, but that in and of itself has revolutionized like my coffee consumption. Right, number one, the quality of the coffee too, making sure you get the organic high altitude coffee. I've subscribed to all of that. But starting the day off right, so getting that good sleep and then getting something that's going to enhance that energy, right? So, and that MCT oil does absolutely that.
Yeah, and so that's one way to do it. Wake up and have some coffee. Yeah. I actually don't drink coffee till about 10:30, 11 o'clock. So I'm a morning workout guy. So I get up around 5 and I get my energy from the workout. I bike or run into work. Tuesdays and Thursdays, my favorite days of the week. We hooping at 06. So we playing basketball from 6 to 7:45. And I'm so awake from that I don't even really feel the need for coffee. And on the weekends it's different. I'll wake up and have some. And then honestly, I'm drinking black coffee. I kind of like some of the cold brews right now, but I'll drink that almost to like bridge the gap to eat. Cause I also do the intermittent fasting thing. I try to go from like 7 at night to 12, 1 o'clock. So having that coffee around 11:30 helps my appetite. And then also gives me a little pickup after a busy morning. But yeah, man, as we talk about consistency, we're going to talk about working out a little bit. I've learned that the only time people don't mess with me is from like 5:30 to 7:30 in the morning. That's my time. So I will go to sleep a little earlier and to get my sleep to know that I get a workout in. Because if I try to go at lunch, something's going to happen. If I say I'm going to do it at the end of the day, I'm going to not want to do it because I'm going to want to get home, see the kids, see the wife, hang out. And so if I don't do it in the morning, most of the time it doesn't happen. So I just make sure I'm up and at 'em and getting it. So I'm a morning guy. And I think as you get into these jobs and have more responsibilities, some of the abilities you had to go at lunch and to break free kind of drop off. And if you don't build yourself a repeatable process and find some time to work out, my other problem is I've been working out in the morning for so long. If I work out at night, 8, like let's say I go for like a workout at like 6 or 7, go for a run when the sun is getting low and it's not as hot. My body's like, we starting over? Like it's the morning? Like I'll be in bed till 2, 3 in the morning, just like excited about life. Man, I can't do it. No workouts for me at night. Joy won't even let me think about that. So I like to get a good workout in the morning, man. And like I said, it's more just about it's my time. That's when I can read my book a little bit, listen to an audio book, get a run in, get a lift in, play some basketball, and just kind of center me and give me that energy I need to be the best version of myself for the day.
Yeah. So I realized something about, myself with varying my workouts because, and this is important point. Number one, we are not doctors. So any supplements that we're talking about, this is something that we use for ourselves. We do not promote any of these things. Go figure out for yourself. This is for you to figure out your health journey and energy management journey so that you can be the best version of yourself from a physiological standpoint, to bring your best self to bear every single day. So this is just kind of our journey, what we've used. But for me, what I found out from working out in the morning, I realized this during just from feedback, because I'm already high energy to begin with. When I work out in the morning and come to work, I am intense, especially if I have lifted weights. Like, I'm way too intense.
Sure.
I'm already like
Yeah.
a acquired taste sometimes, right? Just because the amount of hoo-yah I try to bring every single day, I'm over the top in the mornings if I work out, if I lift weights. So I have to be mindful. And I've been told this by my team too,
That's
man.
fair.
Just like you worked out this
Yeah.
morning, didn't you? Like, yeah. Just like ready, like
Yeah, dude.
super. Yeah. So working
That's
out in
funny.
my normal process is working out during lunch. I've kind of shifted that over the last few months, just because of some life events, and had to go back to just figure out something else, because that's what happens. Life happens. Sometimes you got to alter course, but for the most part, that's why I keep a kettlebell. I have a 45-pound kettlebell in my office, right? So sometimes I close a door in the morning because I need an extra boost, and I'll knock out 200 kettlebell swings, and that does a trick for me, right? So sometimes, based on these schedules, based on what's presented to you, you got to be willing to shift a little bit. So that's why I keep that kettlebell. I have a TRX in my office as well. So if I need to, pump out, some pull-ups a little bit, easy day.
I love it, man. And I think, at the root of this, at the root of getting these routines in and managing the energy level, is being consistent in whatever it is you're doing. I was just telling this story the other day, man. You meet some leaders and they get into this new job. They're excited about the job. The previous job, they had a good workout regimen. They was eating clean. They was doing all the stuff. And now they have more people, more responsibilities. And then they think they got to be at work earlier, and they think they need to stay later. And maybe they do, right? But in the process, they're losing, their energy levels are dropping because they're not doing the things that they was doing that was keeping their energy level up before. I had a conversation with a guy that was struggling, and I knew him. I see him on social media. He's posting, I did this run, I did that run, I did this. And I'm like, hey man, when was the last time you went for a run? And he's like, day before I checked in. Oh, so you haven't ran in like 2 months? And I was like, what are the things you do to self-regulate? When you're tired, stressed out, or like having a bad day, is like usually run. Okay. All right. So, you know what I mean? Like, when are we going to go back to running again? And so if you know yourself, being self-aware and understanding what you need to do is important. I would also tell you the next level stuff is knowing what your boss needs and being able to call him out when he's not doing the things he needs to do. I'm not going to mention no names, but I definitely had a boss, man. Like, I would just be like, hey man, when was the last time you went for a run?
Facts.
And he'd be like, couple days. I'm like, I can tell. I'm like, good, like, man, go get yourself a run. And he would thank me afterwards. And we had that relationship though, right? Like, we held each other accountable. That was our job. That was my job. And so we'd laugh about it. But next level is knowing what your boss needs, but you got to start by knowing you. And so what are the things you need to keep your energy level up? If you're listening to this and you're like, well, I tell you what I don't need is getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning and working out. Like, don't do it. Don't do it. Like, don't do it. I'm crazy. My wife, I tell this to my wife, she will be like, never. I'll never do it. Yeah. So that's fine. Work out at night. Find a routine. Or works out in the afternoon. My point is the consistency. Knowing what you need for your body. Get a good night's sleep. Have a routine. Can't live on caffeine. Gotta work out. What does that workout regimen look like? Different for everybody. So again, we're not experts in this field. We both stay in shape. We both got high energy, but we're no experts. We're talking about you finding your thing and understanding how to do that by creating repeatable processes and being consistent.
Yep. And it's about being aware too of, what doesn't work for you. Right. So, quick story. Every Friday, a few years ago when I was in Norfolk, I would celebrate the end of the week. I would stop at the mini mart, and I'll get me an ice cream sandwich, and I'll listen to Prince, because you can't be upset while you're listening to Prince and need
Eating
some
ice
ice
cream
cream.
sandwich. I'm with you. I've never done that
Yeah.
before, but I love it.
But one day I left a little bit too early, and I had to actually go back to work, and I had already consumed my ice cream sandwich, and I went to go talk to my boss, and had to just give him a brief on what was going on, and I could not think to get the words out. Like, cognitively, I
Yeah.
was not there. And I was
Yeah.
like,
You was gone
what
because
in
you
the
already went.
world?
Yeah.
What is happening right now? So I was
Yep.
like, well, let's do some deductive reasoning here. All right, cool. What did I eat? What did I consume? What did I do? Well, I had some ice cream, and maybe it's ice cream. I don't know. So repeated that step, and it turns out dairy makes me dumb. It's not only affects my gut because I'm darn near lactose intolerant, but it makes me dumb. Cognitively, I dropped probably about 22 and a half IQ points just because I had an ice cream sandwich. So be aware how
Man.
food affects you. Like, be intentional about what you're consuming. Right? Be careful with the over processed food, the chips. Listen, nobody loves a good chip more than I do, right? But
Except for me.
I got to be mindful that this is something that's over processed. This does not bode well for me, especially as a black man approaching his 50s, right? In terms of high blood pressure, diabetes, all these things, heart disease, right? So I have to be mindful and shift to something like, banana. I shifted over to banana snacks, like the banana chips, which are phenomenal, by the way. But I have to replace those with something more healthy, because of, if I'm going to bring the best version of myself for as long as I possibly can, I got to be mindful. We have to be mindful about those processed foods and how it's affecting us cognitively, so that we can have access to all the knowledge that we have gained over the course of these years. None of that stuff matters, or how smart you are, if you ain't got access to it, right? And if you aren't taking care of yourself adequately, you don't have access to it, because your body is constantly in freeze, fight, or flight. So you don't even have access to your frontal cortex to be able to get those higher level thoughts and be strategic and have emotional regulation and all those things, right? So that's why you have to take care of yourself, because all of our systems within our body have to work harmoniously. They have to work together. And if our digestive system is all jacked up because we've been eating crap, that's going to slow down our respiratory system, which affects everything else, right? We're not breathing well. We're not bringing enough oxygen into our blood, oxygen to our brain, all these things, right? So it's all connected. So if we're not thinking about intentionally how we're taking care of ourselves, we're not going to be the best leader for our people, right?
Yeah, I love it, man. Those are like the three things that I really try to be consistent on: is the right amount of sleep, the workout regimen, and then the food consumption. And I'll tell you, you a young Thundercat, you a young leader in the game. Maybe you good on a Whopper and a McDonald's and whatever. But I'm telling you right now, like, you get older, what you put in and what you eat is important. I'm a huge advocate of food prep, because I feel like laziness is what gets you eating bad food, right?
Yeah.
When you hungry and there ain't nothing made, then you're going to grab what's easy, and that's usually takeout or something to go or Uber. And now you got the technology is just dangerous. Uber Eats, Uber delivery, who knows? I mean, groceries get dropped off at the house. So I'm a big advocate of, my Sunday routine is kind of food prepping for the week. Cook a bunch of food for lunches and my midday snacks, and making sure I got, plenty of vegetables cooked up and some proteins. So that way throughout the week, I'm eating the right foods and, keeping my energy level up. So I'm my best version of myself when I'm getting good sleep, when I'm working out, probably at least 4 times a week. I really prefer if I can get to like 5 or 6. But if I'm working out somewhere between 4 to 6 times a week and I'm eating clean and I'm being consistent, I feel better. I know that I'm a better leader. Like, I can just tell in my delivery, my energy level, all those things are up. But when that stuff gets off track, that's when we got to look in the mirror and be like, all right, what's not working? Okay, I haven't been food prepping, or, I haven't been eating as clean, and you feel a little more lethargic and a little tired, or I'm not getting enough sleep at night because this new show I'm watching. Well, I mean, I don't know, man. Whatever the
Yep.
things are, but if you can be consistent in those areas and find ways to, make sure you're getting those three things: the right food in your stomach, getting some workout in a couple times a week, and getting the right sleep, man, you're just gonna have more energy and be able to be a better version of yourself.
Absolutely. And contributing that, I want to talk a little bit on a specialty level because we're both submariners. So
Sure.
what does that
Yeah.
mean? We don't have access to the sun. Tony,
Yeah.
don't you got a story or something like that around not having
Yep.
access to the sun?
Man, I got a crazy story. So I did back-to-back sea tours. I was a first class and I made chief, and it was like 4 deployments in like 42 months, bro. It was something like that. It was wild. I was just
Yeah.
gone. I was out to sea. And I had put on the most weight I've ever put on. I felt heavy. I was tired. I was probably drinking a little too much alcohol. We ain't talked about that yet, but that's
Yeah.
important. All that working out in the world and drinking for the weekend don't do nothing for you. But so I was not doing a lot of things right, and I couldn't lose the weight. And I thought I had like a thyroid condition or something, man. So I went to the doctor and they ran all these blood tests on me, and they were like, "Man, you have a vitamin D deficiency." And then they started explaining vitamin D deficiencies, and it's almost like equivalent to having a thyroid condition, weight gain, lethargic, tired, like all this stuff. And so they put me on this crazy vitamin D regimen to get my vitamin D back up. And then they moved me to Hawaii. No, I'm just kidding. It was a couple years in between that. But that'd be cool. But yeah, man, and so ever since then, I'm not a big supplement guy, but I make sure if I'm going underway, I'm getting my vitamin D supplements. Certainly as a Cobb, when I was doing those deployments and underway, I was taking vitamin D every day. And then taking my multivitamins and just making sure I'm getting all the right amount of greens and the right amount of, just the vitamins that I need on a daily basis. But yeah, man, that was scary, dude. Like
Yeah.
I tell people all the time, I'm like, hey, no one ever told me to take vitamin D pills underway, but it's a mandatory event for me now. And I tell everyone that's on sea duty to think about it.
Yeah. I contend that every submariner has a vitamin D deficiency, especially if
Sure.
you're black.
Sure.
Because if
Okay.
if you have melanin, you don't absorb sunlight in a way that converts it over. Your body converts it to vitamin D. So you typically have to do vitamin D
Supplement.
supplementation somewhere in the range of 5,000 to 10,000 IU's per day. So especially if you're like in Washington State and you on a submarine, because where the sun at?
I was in Washington for 2 years. I saw it 19 times. So yeah.
No doubt.
Yeah,
But
man.
the thing is that we talk about this health thing. I do take some supplements. I take stuff like krill oil just to make sure my omega-3s are in order. My supplementation is really centered on making sure that cognitively that I can bring my best self to bear, which is why I take the MCT oil, which also increases cognitive responses. So not a lot, but I do take a couple of supplements just to help. And as you get older, these things, you just have to make sure that the stuff that you're not getting from food, that you can get from the right bioavailable supplements, right? So because as a leader, we have to be in a situation where we're adaptable, where we have neuroplasticity, where we can adapt and change and alter our leadership style to match the people that we're conversing with, that we're interacting with. You can't do that if you don't have your energy levels on par. You can't adapt. It's painful because all that stuff takes energy, right? Because our minds cover down on about 40 to 50% of our energy levels over the course of the day. Just our brain, just the thought process of thinking takes about 50% over the course of the day. So we have to be careful. We have to be mindful of that piece too, because if, just like I illustrated at first, the first conversation, if my energy levels are low, I am angry, frustrated, I'm in the red, and my interactions are going to be ridiculous. I have a disease that I like to call hangriosity that if I don't eat
Yo,
adequately,
I mean,
that
yep.
all you have to do is ask my wife, because when sometimes she'll say something, I'm like, huh? She's like, did you eat something? No.
Yeah. But I could tell
So
by your response you didn't eat something. So grab yourself a Snickers or a celery stick, something.
yep. And for me, hypoglycemic too. So that's a big piece of me
Sure.
making sure that I eat adequately. And I even told, and I think this is a big piece too, if you know who you are in that range, like communicate that to your team. When I was a cop, I told my team, I was like, listen, sometimes when I get unreasonable, it's because I haven't eaten, because I've forgotten. I've gotten overwhelmed by what's
Yeah.
happened throughout the day, working, not paying attention. So, hey, remind me, like if I go off, like it's 99% of the time it's because I haven't eaten anything. And even my team here in Group 7, they're the same way. They're like, hey man, did you eat today? Not because I was going off, but they just just checking on me, because sometimes I
They
just
could just
forget.
tell. Yeah.
Yeah, they can, sometimes I just forget. They'll look at my face like, man, seriously, did you eat today? Like, nah, I ain't eat nothing.
That's funny, man.
Because I need to be doing
Yeah, so
food prep. I need to be doing food prep, but my kitchen is the size of a closet. So anyway.
I would help you out if you was closer, bro. I would
Yeah.
have your back. I'm telling you. I'm an expert in there.
I was food prepping in Hawaii.
But oh, there you go. Yeah. Yeah, man. So I think I think as we kind of wrap this up, hopefully you got some stuff out of it. The one thing I'll tell you too, you see me doing it throughout the podcast. Make sure you're drinking your water. I mean, 100. I think if you were somewhere between 180, 200 pounds, I think it's like 120 ounces of water a day, something like that. Like, get your water intake up. There's a bunch of things you can look up for that too. But when you're dehydrated, you don't function too well either, right?
Yep.
Which is why day after drinking is a little bit painful for certain people. So, hey man, we're not perfect. Me and O have been known to have a drink or two on a Friday or Saturday night. It just can't be the norm, right? And if you're doing it during the
We
week,
may have had a podcast
it's
where we're
usually going to
drinking.
lead to you. Yeah, that just maybe one, but that doesn't make you bad. It's okay. It's okay to have a couple of drinks, right? Everything in good portion is okay, but when you drink, normally you don't work out the next day, and you might eat bad that night, and it just creates this cycle. So try to limit the drinking, save it for the weekends if you need to, but you can't kill all that good work if you eat healthy and sleep good and work out during the week, and then you drink all weekend, man. It's just kind of like this cycle of no progress. So if I was to give you any advice, man, like take your vitamins, eat your greens, get a good night's sleep, get some workouts in 3 to 5 times a week, drink the right amount of water, and just see if your energy level goes up. Because here at Leadership State of Mind, we try to make better leaders. And that requires a certain amount of energy that you need to be able to give to the people that you serve. Servant leaders are out there on a deck plate, out there at the work, engaging with people. And when you engage with people every day, it is tiring. And if you don't have the right energy level, you're not going to be able to do it. So we are trying to just give you some tools and tips and some things that we use to help us to have the energy level we need to be successful. So whatever your thing is, figure it out, find it, tweak it, adjust it, and then get it to where you're working at your highest output. And then you're in a great place. And then you pay it forward and teach it to some other people.
Absolutely. We're trying to give you all the secrets that has helped us throughout these years. We're trying to give you all the game. So
there it is.
It's free. It's free. I'm telling you, it helps us be more present, aware leaders. Staying in good shape, being present, being aware, being ready, being my coach used to always say, make sure you're on the balls of your feet, always ready, so you don't have to get ready. This is how you stay ready. So day to day, be consistent, even if it's just walking, and just eating well. You're doing so much for the people that you lead. Because remember, it's not just about you, it's about the people that you lead, being the best version of yourself for them. And with that, anything else, Tom?
last thing, I want to leave you with this. I talk about this in my philosophy a lot. Pursuing excellence on a daily basis is not trying to worry about the people around you. It's just focused on being a better version of yourself from the day before. So if you aren't working out and you start working out once a week, that's better than you were before. If you wasn't food prepping at all and you doing it a little bit, there's improvement. So wherever you are in this journey, man, like just move forward. Keep trying to progress yourself and you'll get to a point where it gets better. So you're not going to be able to get it all in one day. Don't think you can. It takes time. It takes energy. Celebrate the small victories, celebrate the wins, and become a better version of yourself, bro. That's what we're here to do at Leadership State of Mind. Please continue to like, share, follow, tell your friends, family, come out there and support us. And hopefully we'll support you and continue to give you the knowledge you need to become the best version of yourself.
Hoo-yah. Go Yankees.
All right, man.
Peace.
Go Yankees. Hey, man. Peace out, y'all. Y'all have a good one. Till next time.